Hello besties! Today Misfit Makers Besties presents Recreate Your First Tumbler Design. But before that, make sure to join our crafting community on Facebook at Misfit Makers and make sure to check out our website at misfit-makers.com. Let me start by showing you guys what my first tumbler looked like. It's all chipped and stuff by now, but this was the first cup I made. Let me show out some of the flaws here. First of all, I try to create an ombre. I don't know about that. I don't know. My white kind of turned yellow. I got a little donut going on right here. I put way too much epoxy, so I have a ton of little slick spots everywhere. I think I put 20 mLs to adhere my epoxy. Also, I over sanded, so some of my glitter sanded off, a whole bunch of stuff. My edges are super rough and my rims are awful. But I'm pretty proud of it. This was one of my first cups, and look at that. My glitter traveled because I did not seal it good. It turned yellow. It may be hard to see. What else? Look, all this is wavy and rough and scuffed and pulled in there. So we're gonna try to recreate this little baby, my first cup ever. And so I'm gonna challenge you to do the same. So to recreate my first cup ever, I am going to use a true 22 from the Steel Magnolia, and I'm going to give it a little facelift. We're going to try to keep the same elements in our cup just so we see the before and after, but of course we're going to do some things that are going to look much better. So let's get ready. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be using a true 22 from the Steel Magnolia. I'm going to be using some good glitter this time. This is from Peachy Olive in the color Voodoo, no Voodoo, and in the color Fairest Opal of them all from the Glitter Guy. It is one of my favorite white opals. And I'm going to be using some pop of color in the color Pure White and the color Bordeaux. Woo woo. So first let's put our chuck in our cup. I love these from Craft Crate. We have a discount code, so make sure to check out all our discount codes in the supply list listed below. I love how they just screw on. Okay, we're going to start off by painting our cup. It is super cold in Iowa here. It is the middle of winter, so I cannot go and spray paint a cup, but it's okay. Pop of color saves the day. I love using these brushes from Wet n Wild. I get them from the $100 store and they work great. I start off with my bottom, but you can start off with the top either way. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. All we're doing is getting a good base and kind of drawing the map work for where our ombre is going to go. When I did my first cup, I think I just spray painted white, the whole thing white. I didn't know better. I didn't know what I was doing. So I kind of was just learning, okay? So then I'm going to take my Pure White by Pop of Color, which is one of my favorite. Look at the pigment. Like, it is so nice. So we're going to take it kind of to the middle. We're not going to mix it yet, just going up and down. And then we're going to start blending the middle, kind of where our ombre is going to go. Again, guys, it doesn't have to be perfect. It is going to be a little bit streaky, so you need to make sure your glitter choices are pretty flashy. Like, you want really good coverage glitter. When I first did my cup, the first one, I used glitter from Amazon, probably craft glitter, cheap glitter, the cheapest I can find because I was just trying out a new craft. But here we have some really good glitter coverage, so I can be okay with being a little streaky. So as you see here, I'm kind of mixing a little bit of the Bordeaux and a little bit of the white and kind of just mixing them until I get the color that I want. You want to make sure you do all this mixing when your paint is still wet. So here I am just kind of trying to get the right color. Again, don't overthink it. So this time around, I am going to adhere my glitter with UV resin. when you've been doing cups for a while, you figure out ways to do things quicker. And epoxy takes, even FastSet, takes about 2 hours to dry. And I don't have time for that. So now the new rave is using UV. I'm using UV resin from CCDIY, which is my favorite, and I'm applying a very thin coat. Remember the first time I said I used 20 mLs to adhere my glitter and I got a lot of slick spots? That is why, because my glitter was sinking into the epoxy. This time around, whether you're using UV resin or you're using regular epoxy, use a very, very little amount, less than 2 mLs of resin, whether it's UV or regular. Very, very little, spread it out very thinly. Something that I failed to mention is that I made sure my paint was nice and dry. Okay, so now we're starting on the ombre. You guys already know, you guys have followed me, know that ombre is not my forte. Even 3-4 years later, it is not my thing. Like, I struggle with it. But I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of my tricks that I like to do here. I start off high at an angle and let it kind of drizzle. You saw how I went at an angle? The same with my white. I'm gonna leave that middle section where they meet till the end. Again, just taking my glitter and kind of fluffing it around a little bit. See how I kind of tap it, kind of swing it around, spin it around, and just take your time, go slowly. If you are heavy-handed like me, sometimes I like to use like a little baby spoon to control the flow, but I'm getting a little better, so I'm able to do it with an open mouth glitter jar. This is Fairest Opal of them all that I'm using for the white. So I'm gonna alternate colors. I'm gonna go from my Voodoo, which is my burgundy, really beautiful purpley burgundy color, and then I'm gonna stop and go to my white and alternate until I get what I like. So I'm gonna be going back and forth, like I mentioned. That's the great thing about using UV. I recommend using UV if you are a beginner for real, or if you've been doing glitter tumblers for a while. One, because it will not cure on you, not until it's cured under UV light. So you can continue to work on it until you see what you like. Also, guys, if you find that your ombre is not exactly how you want it and you do not have any more space to put glitter on, cure your cup under UV light and then spray seal it with clear spray and add more glitter where you need to create that perfect ombre. So after you have your ombre and your glitter exactly where you want it, we're gonna get ready to UV it. So we'll let you see what I'm doing here. I'm almost done. I could feel it. And then we're going to move on to UVing. Here we go. Oh, wait. This is important. This is another thing that I missed. Obviously, I use fine glitter in my original cup, but this one we use chunky. So I'm using wax paper to pat down my glitter so it lays down flat. This is very important so you're not doing 17 coats of epoxy to get it smooth. So trust me on this, just very lightly tap it, and then after it's nice and flat, we're ready to UV cure it. So I'm gonna put this little baby on my handy helper from Dino's Tumblers. I love this. You spin it by hand. It's perfect for little crafts like this. I'm going to be using my CCDIY UV lamp, and I'm going to be curing this for about 5 to 6 minutes. You will know when it's ready and cured. After this step, you want to seal your cup with clear spray. Seal it really good, let it dry, epoxy it like normal. I put 1 coat of FastSet on it, nice thick coat, and now here we are. It is nice and cured, has 1 coat, and look how pretty it's already looking, 1,000 times better than my original cup. No shade, original cup, no shade. But look at what I found, guys. I found the original water slides that I made for this cup and the decal. It is so funny story while I clean my rim. When I first started making cups, I always made 3 or 4 of the same thing. So I made like 3 or 4 of that water slide because I knew I was going to ruin it. So I always wanted to have backups. So I found my original ones. I'm not going to be using them, but I wanted to show them to you. So after we clean our rim, I'm going to sand my rims. This is another thing I learned. from my first cup from a long time ago, is that you need to have a really good seal. So something that I do is I take my sanding block, or you can also use a flap wheel if you fancy, but a sanding block does the job here. What I'm doing is I am creating a tiny little rim, a silver exposed rim. So if I know it's hard to see, but I'm gonna go around my cup to create that. And this is why. Look at my original cup. That cup has a terrible seal. All those little chips. I know it's old, but still, that's how it looked on day one. Let's just be honest. So I am taking this and I'm going to create a nice, clean rim. You are going to expose a little sliver of the stainless steel, and this is going to create a nice, good seal for when you put your next coat of epoxy. I'm going to go ahead and sand my whole cup, and then I'm going to clean it off. Also, another thing I learned, do not sand so hard after your first coat of epoxy. And also, another thing, when you use quality glitter, you are less likely to sand off any color off your glitter like I did on my first cup. So here I'm showing that if you're going to put a water slide, do not sand your white glitter or else it will not restore its shine. Okay, so here we go. Here we are. This is my original. Look at that. I was going to use that again to do the same thing, but we've added a few more fur babies to our family. So I created this little SVG with the silhouettes of my babies. For those that know that I have a doodle, a Frenchie, and newly added to our family is a little chinchilla. So I'm going to place my decal over my nice sanded cup here, and I'm just going to place it on there very smoothly on there. Again, this is not a water slide like my original, but you know, we're giving it a little revamp. So that's why I decided to go with these little cute little silhouettes. I didn't want to take away from the glitter in the cup, so I kind of wanted to go very minimalistic, which I thought these little ears were the cutest. Look at the little chinchilla ears. For those that have been following me on Facebook for a while, you guys have seen my new little baby. Her name is Chili the chinchilla, and so we're going to add her there to the family as well. So after we apply these, we are going to epoxy our cup like normal. As you see, I have a lot of tiny little letters. Another thing that I learned throughout my journey is that when you have tiny letters like that, we always recommend to seal it with Quick Coat from CCDIY. It is a urethane sealer that helps your decals stay put. So all those little tiny letters do not lift up. So I made sure to seal it with Quick Coat, and then I epoxied it with FastSet, and then my final coat I use Artist Resin by CCDIY. So look how cute she's turning out. So now let's go epoxy her. Okay, so I mixed about 30 mLs of epoxy. I'm not using a lot. I'm not using all of it. So this is actually my coat of FastSet, and then after this I will be applying my last coat of Artist Resin. So if you have not tried FastSet, you need to, okay? You need to. This is the best epoxy ever. I wish I could use it on all my coats, but it is very thick, so you got to be careful not to have your cup be too thick. Remember that big old donut that I had at the end of my first cup? It is because my cup was not level, and I was using, my turner wasn't level, and my cup wasn't level, and I was using way too much epoxy, so my epoxy pooled at the end. So make sure that you use the right amount of epoxy, not too much, not too little. I always tell my friends, my besties, it's kind of like when you're wearing lip gloss. You know when it's too much. It feels goopy, but you still want it to be glossy. I don't know if that resonates with everybody, but that's always what I think of. So another little thing that I learned throughout this process, guys, is that you want to make sure that you are torching your cup. Remember all those little bubbles that I had at the bottom of my cup? It's because I was using a heat gun. The heat gun is great, but it's not the best tool for the job. The heat gun is more intended for manipulating your epoxy, manipulating inks, and drying things. The torch is more for popping bubbles. So make sure that you get familiar with the torch. Do not be afraid. They are pretty easy to use, and just practice safety when it comes with using any kind of heat element. And here she is, the new and improved first cup, looking so cute and sparkly. Here's a side-by-side. It is an upgrade, definitely some of the same elements, but look at the glow up. Here it is in some more natural lighting, and look how pretty that is. I am so obsessed. I hope you enjoyed this week's tutorial. I cannot wait to see your glow up. And thank you so much to our Patreon members. We appreciate you. Make sure to check our Patreon out if you are interested, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out our Misfit Makers on Facebook and the Besties Patreon. See you guys later.